Drivers and blades. Duos of fighters that can achieve feats of power far beyond that of a normal human. Guess I'm going to explain them now, huh? First, let's get the terms straight. A blade is a life form that is born asexually through being awakened by a human. They come in many forms, from humanoid to beast, to even robots. They are able to summon a weapon, heal instantly, and can channel ether, which is a type of energy, to the person they are bonded with. Upon death of their bonded human, they have their memories wiped and return to their core crystals, a crystal containing information about the blade, and wait to be awakened again. A driver is just a human who is bonded with the blade. They are typically, with a few exceptions, the only person who can use the full power of their blade. I say blades got bonded with their drivers. What exactly does that mean? It's very simple really. If a human has the right aptitude and they touch a core with the intent to awaken a blade, it will emerge and become bonded with the driver. The description so far makes blades sound like mindless weapons. However, blades are pretty much human outside of appearance. They can eat, although it's unclear if they need to survive. They can talk, and they make up a lot of the society of the game. In fact, there are some blades that have become very successful as ordinary people. Take the blade Cole. He's a famous playwright who, despite being a blade, has found a lot of success in his industry. And that's blades. And I don't think I really need to tell you what a human is, so now for the fun part. In combat, blades and drivers are dependent on an energy source known as ether. Ether is a recurring thing within the Xenoblade series, and it makes up everything on Earth. Blades are able to channel ether into their specific element to create attacks and achieve tasks better than a human would ever be able to do alone. The blade elements are as follows: fire, water, wind, ice, electric, earth, light, and dark. Each one has a strength and weakness to another, as is to be expected with elements in a JRPG. Only the blade is able to use ether to create a sizable attack, however. The driver's job is to wield the blade weapon while being supplied with ether to engage in combat with arts that build up a blade's power to unleash a bigger, stronger attack, known as the Blade Special. This system was invented in Torna 500 years ago by the driver and blade known as Jin and Laura. The style caught on, and by the main game, everyone just uses it. Before that, blades and drivers would just use their own separate weapons, which wasn't as effective. For whatever reason, it seems like it would be more effective. It is once again important to remember that blades are people too, and when they forge a bond with their driver, particularly their first driver, they will start to show traits of them. Blades and drivers who are very close very often have uncannily similar traits to one another. Take for example Laura and Hayes from Torna. This influence the driver has on the blade allows for a blade to change and evolve over time, which is why, at least in my opinion, common blades all look the same and rare blades are unique. It makes sense to imagine that as a blade keeps reawakening and its characteristics become unique, as would its appearance. Okay, so from here, spoilers for Xenoblade 2 and Torna. All of Xenoblade 2 and Torna. So if you don't want that, leave. Okay? So let's establish this. The architect is Klaus, and before he became a god, humans made the core crystal as a replacement to the human brain cell. Basically a computer program. As such, they were already able to store enough data for a conscious person to be inside somehow. He instead used them, after, he destroyed the entire Earth, to create beings that could aid humans and pass down their legacy through inheritance of personality. He also created the Titans through much the same method. Eventually, blades develop to a point where they are ready to go to the next stage. They return to their core for the last time and are never reawakened as blades again. Rather, they are reborn as Titans. The very same Titans that everyone in All Rest lives on. Some of these Titans produce core crystals. In Torna's case, it produced nearly all the core crystals in All Rest until it sank. This cycle of blade to Titan is a blade's cycle of life. However, no one really knows about it in the game, which is why blades so often question their existence. As I said before, blades are reliant on humans, and this is no more apparent in the rather questionable cleansing procedure that the current praetor Amalth has created. This procedure makes core crystals far easier for a human to bond with, and therefore allows for more drivers to exist. However, we are in spoiler territory, so I can say, that was not why. Yeah, Amalthus kinda does the whole evil Pope JRPG thing that popes like to do, and bonds with every core crystal he has, but not in the normal way. I think it's time we talk about flesh and blade eaters. Developed in the destroyed nation of Judicium, a flesh eater is a blade that has had human cells put into them. This allows them to become far more powerful and lets any human use their blade weapon. They basically are just now able to survive without a driver, the human cells acting as the replacement for the driver. A Blade Eater is the opposite, is a human with part or a whole core crystal implanted into them, granting much the same effects, just it was a human originally. This sounds good, and it could be considered that, but it has a fatal flaw: deterioration. For a Blade Eater, this is fine. Humans die anyway, and deterioration takes hundreds of years longer. But for a blade, becoming a Flesh Eater means you become mortal. They can die. This is why many blades will only go through with it because they don't want to forget their life and the precious memories of their driver. Or because they want the over-the-top what the hell power it grants. Not every blade becomes this powerful, of course. Some just stay the same and some become weaker. And it could be to do with what part of the human a blade gets, or it could just be sheer luck. But every once in a while, you get a Flesh Eater that is so powerful it's stupid. Jin can control elementary particles. What? Do they not understand how overpowered that would be? He can already move at the speed of light, but he barely scratches the surface on what he could do. And then there's Nia, who can give instant death cancer and... Okay. Not every Flesh Eater gets this kind of power, and it's unclear if a Blade Eater could get that kind of effect. But it's pretty busted. Back to Amalthus. He became a Blade Eater, but with a load of core crystals, giving him a crazy appearance similar to that of Gort, who was the first Blade Eater, a sort of failed experiment, but on another level. It's not really clear what his powers are, but we know he's very strong, and it took Jin using the last of his power to kill him. This killed Jin in the process. So that's blades, and drivers I guess, but drivers didn't really need an explanation, did they? I'll follow this episode up with the Aegises, because they are related and I think they deserve their own episode. So, until then, see ya.